One of the things that I think is important, and you and I discussed earlier today, was one of the things we can do. So for is not only limiting state employees in terms of how they try to, or preventing them from trying to enforce aspects of this, but also, for example, the forced home inspections that I've heard about, but also.
And those are true, by the way.
Yes. Do you think this amendment that you helped us draft today would prevent state employees from doing the types of things, forced home inspections, but also limit local governments from trying to end-run what we have done so far in the legislature?
Obamacare may soon be knocking at your door, literally. A brand new federal program will spend $250 million, $224 million taxpayer dollars to send government home inspectors to your house.
This is a greater opportunity for an intrusion directly into your home. Therefore, you are subject to a random, unannounced inspection of your home by the Obamacare people.
Well, the Department of Homeland Security is looking at a security manager who's in charge of buying weapons and ammunition. He reportedly moonlights as a hate-spewing anti-white activist online. According to his website, in order for black people to survive, quote, a lot of whites need to be killed. Why is a guy like this still working for the federal government?
Look, this is DHS, Department of Homeland Security. This is the same exact agency that was issuing warnings to local law enforcement on domestic terrorism about Catholics and Christians and returning Army veterans. This is outrageous that somebody who's in charge of buying weapons and ammunition for the federal government to keep the homeland safe wants to kill white people and is perfectly fine with broadcasting it to the world.
Some call it the ultimate firearm that changed the world. The famed Kalashnikov assault rifle. In the Central Russian Republic of Udmurtia, as in the rest of the country, members of the Special Operations Unit of the Ministry of Internal Affairs rely almost exclusively on Kalashnikovs.
June 25, 2013, in Washington, D.C., the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry, Russia's equivalent to FEMA, signed an agreement with FEMA to, quote, exchange experts during joint rescue operations and major disasters. This, according to the Russian Ministry for Civil Defense website. The Civil Defense website, however, goes on to discuss something that appears to be much more sinister. Russian so-called experts will be engaged in, quote, monitoring and forecasting emergency situations, training of rescuers, development of mine rescuing, and provision of security at mass events. This last line, that of providing security at mass events, has many people worried. If Russian experts were brought in during a disaster, we would have Russian so-called security forces. Let's call them what they really are, Russian soldiers, on American soil confiscating guns from American citizens. Let us also remember that after the Boston Marathon terrorist attack, de facto martial law was declared in the Watertown and surrounding areas. Looking for the unarmed teenager Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, hundreds of militarized police conducted illegal house-to-house searches. Citizens were taken into custody without being charged with a crime. If a de facto or declared martial law took place, would these Russian soldiers be alongside our militarized police? Would there come a time when the Russian soldiers were actually the ones in charge during the martial law? What is our own government, the rogue administration of Barack Hussein Obama, doing?
An electromagnetic pulse can be devastating to the grid, and it is not something that has to be, or necessarily will be likely to be, carried out by an adversary. It can be carried out by the sun. You could have a very substantial share of the U.S. Go down from the EMP. Dangers that may come about to the grid and take precautionary steps to deal with them. But we are behind. On the combative side of EMP, we're behind the Russians.
The New York Times. Their headline read, "As worries over the power grid rise, a drill will simulate a knockout blow." The drill is called Grid X2. It's an EMP simulation. The exercise is an entire North American-wide exercise. Interestingly enough, the final planning phase is October 1.
Due to resource constraints caused by sequestration, Air Force Space Command officials have directed the 21st Space Wing to prepare to discontinue operations at the Air Force Space